My friends, what makes a good speech? Much of the world we live in is built on the very foundation of speeches and the power that they contain. The spoken word has had the ability to mold civilization into what it is today, for better and for worse, for good and for evil. The ability of a man or woman to simply speak to an audience has powerful ramifications. When someone gives a speech as honest as they can, when they can express their deepest emotions and viewpoints, when they can paint a picture that plays into someone's deepest sense of love or hate, that speaker has tapped into one of the most powerful mechanisms for change in the universe. Giving a speech can look like a variety of different things. Someone can be standing behind a podium on a large stage with hundreds of onlookers, looking down at their attentive listeners. Likewise, an equally valid speaker can stand among their peers, looking at an audience at eye level in a more intimate setting, refusing to use any sort of a pulpit or a podium. There is no right or wrong way to give a speech, as long as it has one basic theme, one basic goal. No matter the speech, if it is to be of quality and substance, it needs to be one thing. It must be motivational. When most of us think of motivational speeches, we don't usually think of the speeches given by Dr. King or Ronald Reagan, Susan B. Anthony or Frederick Douglass, Mother Teresa or Gandhi. Most motivational speeches we imagine contain some sort of a charismatic speaker standing upon a stage in an arena with hundreds of onlookers looking up at him as he carefully paints a picture that causes the audience to view a whole spectrum of emotion, often utilizing some sort of sorrow or humor or pain or joy in order to get their point across. Such speeches are powerful and should not be underestimated. When someone of that sort of charisma is let loose in the world, there is no telling what they can achieve. If history has shown us anything, I believe we can all agree that the world belongs to the energetic, to the doers, the people that have the passion to lead. But such speeches are not limited to Les Brown and Tony Robbins. I believe that motivation is the core of nearly every good speech we will ever listen to. Every powerful word that is uttered has at least some element of motivation within it. Motivation, in a very literal sense, simply means the desire to do something. It's that feeling we get when we want to make something of the time we have. It drives much of the world we live in. It makes people want to be productive, and hopefully not simply for their own self-gain, but to help society and those they love. Motivation is the need to make use of what we have. It often involves a very clear goal in which we see what it is that we need to accomplish, and then we aim for it, using every fiber of our being, every muscle within our body, every ounce of strength that is within our core. That is motivation at its finest. That is one of the most powerful aspects of the human psyche that anyone can tap into with their words, and it's what qualifies every good speech as a motivational speech. When Dr. King said those immortal words that will always be remembered in history, when he spoke of his famous dream for racial equality, he was doing more than simply telling a story. He was laying out a dream that everyone should try to bring to fruition. He was proclaiming a call to action for all Americans, from every racial background and ethnic identity. He not only told us something, he made us as Americans feel something. He motivated us to bring about a day when the children of former slaves and the children of former slave owners could eat together at the table of brotherhood. That is real motivation. When President Reagan gave his famous speech after the Challenger space shuttle exploded, right as it was lifting off into space, he did more than simply give America an update on the state of the space program. He made America feel something. He took the emotions of a wounded nation and crafted them into words that brilliantly honored those who died, while reminding us that America's brighter days were still ahead. He spoke of the space program and the dream those astronauts had as still being the dream all Americans would have, of getting to space and expanding our human understanding of the great beyond. He motivated a nation that had just experienced a deep loss to carry on the mission of those that had passed on. He found a way to balance despair in the present for optimism in the future. He played into the better parts of the human spectrum of emotions, and that is truly motivational. When George Washington gave his famous farewell address to the young nation, he did more than simply report on what had been achieved during his tenure as America's first chief executive. He also gave the American public a clear picture of what our future ought to entail. He spoke highly of what could be achieved if only the young republic would keep its head up, and hold on to the virtues that made her different from the European world she broke away from. He didn't need flowery language, nor did he need poetic penmanship. Instead, all he spoke with was a prosaic tone and a straightforward manner of what he knew that our nation was capable of. As he departed from the highest office in the land for retirement, people cried as they heard his farewell remarks, and the people longed for America's favorite son to never leave. That is motivational. These are the speeches that made the world we live in what it is today. But every word can be a speech of its own sort. When Mother Teresa was quietly praying next to one of her ill patients, the words she said could motivate us to be better people. When Gandhi would talk with some of his closest friends and advisors on what to do or what actions to take, as they shared wisdom with one another, those words could provide people with motivation, giving us all nuggets of truth that could teach us to be better people. These precious words are motivational because all motivation needs to be is a correct and honest call to action, to be better, to do better, to see a vision of the future you want to bring about, then do everything you can to bring it into reality. And that's why motivation can come from such a wide variety of sources. Every person has something that speaks to them on a deeper and intimate level. Everyone has a passion within them for something, and it only takes the right words to pull out those better parts of humanity, those parts of ourselves that want to improve ourselves, help our family and friends, help our community, our environment, and even our world as a whole. That is what motivation is, and that is why it is such a powerful and unstoppable force. So even though there are millions of speakers in this world who will give you tips and tricks on how to craft the best speech humanly possible, the one theme many of them seem to have in common, the one theme that seems to be in the greatest words that are immortalized within the history books are this: make sure your speech has motivation. Give it passion, give it structure, give it practice, patience, and diligence. Be honest and be respectful. Be decent and be yourself. Be the best you possibly can. But above all, make sure that your words have motivation within them. Make sure that they are a call to action. Make sure that whatever it is that you are telling people is going to somehow make them want to do better, want to be better, and want to act better. My friends, thank you for listening to my speech, and I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your day. Thank you.